everybody, and welcome back to a new video on my channel. This is part 3, I believe, of my 2024 full reset. So make sure to subscribe if you aren't already so you don't miss those. Also, if you're new here, hi, my name is Zoe. I'm 23. I live in the New York City area. I recently graduated from college back in May, and I am trying to navigate what it means to be post-grad and a real adult. So if you're interested in that, then stick around. So for this part of my 2024 reset, we're going to be focusing more exclusively on January. So this is just going to be my typical monthly reset. You guys have seen me do this quite a few times now. You know the drill, so let's just hop right into it. Okay, so we're going to start by looking back at December. You can see my December Notion page right here. So if we go through this, you can see that my top 3 priorities for the month were to enjoy the holidays, YouTube consistency, and 25 days of TikTok. You can see my reflections on the other side, where in my lowlights I mentioned I completely failed at the 25 days of TikTok. But that happens because I got the other 2. I definitely enjoyed the holidays. I still did upload to YouTube consistently, so I was happy with that. I'll hold off on doing the reflection until the end of this video, so stick around if you want to see that. So now we can jump into January. So if you guys saw my 2024 reset, which I just uploaded recently on my channel, then you'll know that I have a whole list of brand new goals and resolutions, and I really want to try and be better about breaking these down each month. There were a few months this year where I just didn't even look at my goals at all, and that's totally fair, but I do want to be better about it this year. I imported all of my goals into this Notion page so I can see exactly what is coming up, and then I filtered them. I don't know why it says third quarter up there, but I did actually filter them based on the first quarter so I can see everything that is coming up in the first quarter of the year. So then what I did is I took all of my goals for the year and I broke out all of the daily tasks so that I could see what habits I am actually trying to do on a daily basis. A lot of these are habits I already have, but I like to keep them as my goals because I deserve to get credit for the things that I'm doing anyway. So they're gonna be there. And then I broke out all of my goals into more weekly tasks that I would focus on the specific week. So that way everything is timed out. If I get a little bit behind, I'm not overwhelmed because I have a million of these things that I'm behind on. Everything has their own time for when I'm gonna try to do them. But I still do have my top 3 priorities for the month. So for this month, my top priority is I want to reply to all my text messages. This is a new daily habit that I'm trying to implement. I am notorious for not responding to people, and I don't know why I do this because I do it with people I love, people I want to be talking to, and it's just because I don't like texting and I just ignore texts, and it's just a bad habit that I've gotten into. So I want to get in the habit of daily replying to text messages. The next thing that I have is a content creation refocus. I'm currently filming this video. I'm filming 5 of these videos. I'm filming them all in one day, which maybe wasn't my smartest move, but you know what? We live and we learn. But I do just want to refocus my content, really get on top of it, and get ahead in that as well, because it is really hard to balance having a full-time job and also doing this on the side. And then my final priority for this month is I need to make all of my doctor's appointments because I'm way past the point when I should have made these doctor's appointments, and I need to find doctors up here, which is why it's taken me so long to do this, but it's happening this month. I did also add this section, which is the to do this month section, where I am writing down some of the things that I really need to get done. I can check it off and feel good about myself. So I have write a letter to somebody, because that is one of my New Year's resolutions, is to write a letter to someone every month. I want to get my friend a birthday present. That's just a random thing. And then make all my doctor's appointments. And then I decided that because I really do feel like I am motivated by checkboxes, I added checkboxes for all of the things that I wanted to do in terms of my content creation. So my 2024 prep series, which you are watching right now, I want to just be able to check that off. The number of TikToks that I want to do, the number of posts that I want to do, some Etsy stuff that I want to be bringing out, because if you didn't know, in December I brought out a budget template, which I will be talking a lot more in a minute when we do my budget. So I'm getting ahead of myself, but that is something too. Okay, so that is my goal breakdown for January. Pretty straightforward. I really think that those 3 priorities are my main items, and then of course the daily habits that I also am hoping to implement, and that weekly breakdown. Let's move in to the next part of the video when I'm going to be talking about all things books. I have not done a reading segment in forever, but I actually have things to talk about this month. I read 4 books this month. I was determined to hit my 25 book goal, and I actually accidentally read 26 books because Goodreads didn't update for some reason when I finished my 25th book, and I thought it was my 25th book, and I was trying to get it to update, and it kept saying it was my 24th, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to read another book. So then I had to read another book. So the books that I read this month were Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. I gave this book 3 stars in the end. I didn't love it. I didn't find it that funny. Also, the characters were just in a different phase of life than I am. I didn't really relate to them. It took place during COVID, which is just something I don't really want to relive, to be honest. So I was just like, eh. And that was just my opinion on it. No hard feelings. I'm still glad I read it. The ending was cute. I'll give it that. The next book that I read was The Helsinki Affair, which was my book of the month pick for November. I did like this book. It was good. It wasn't my favorite book. It was a little slow paced. It was supposed to be a thriller, spy novel, and I feel like the most exciting thing happened on the first page, and the rest of the book took place over the course of a year and a half or something like that, and I just I wanted quicker pacing for a novel like that. So that was my one thing that I didn't love about that, but it was still interesting, and yeah, it was fine. The next book that I read, I gave 4 stars to, and that was God's Behaving Badly by Marie Phillips. And this was just a Greek mythology retelling. I've seen it a few times in the bookstore, and I thought I'd pick it up and try it out, and it was just cute. It took place in London. It was funny. It was a little cliche at times, yeah, but I love a good Greek mythology retelling, so it had me hooked. And then the last book that I read, which was my emergency book that I read at the last minute, I literally read this book in 2 days, and that was The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I've actually never read this book, and I was like, well, why not now? It was free, and I needed a book to read, so I gave it a read, and I actually really liked it. It reminded me of Anna Delvey, and just I like having the unreliable characters where you don't really know who they are, and you're spending the whole book trying to figure out who they are. I just find that really interesting. So on to my TBR for January. I am currently reading Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, which is the second book in the Fourth Wing series. I actually don't even know how to pronounce the name of that series, but it's a book after Fourth Wing, and I loved Fourth Wing. It was my favorite book of 2023, and so I'm very excited to read the sequel, and I hope that it lives up to expectations. The other 2 books I have on this list are Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I had this book on my December TBR, but I didn't wind up bringing it with me on vacation, which is why I didn't read it in the end. And then I also got Atomic Habits for Christmas, and I'm just interested in learning more about that, and so I want to try to read that this year as well, and that'll also help contribute to one of my goals this year is to read more nonfiction books again. I want to read at least 5 this year, and so that'll help with that. Now we're going to hop into going through my budget. So of course we have to start by going through my December budget, and then we're going to move on to the January budgets. Honestly, December was so nice in terms of the money that I wound up spending or not spending. So you can see here, I budgeted my normal amount. I had my normal amount of expenses, but I just didn't spend near as much as I was expecting to. I think there's 2 reasons for this. One is that I was home, I was with my family for half the month, and they very kindly paid for a lot of the things that I would normally be paying for. I wasn't driving to work or anything like that. Also, at work, a lot of people were just away on vacation, people weren't really around, so I didn't do as much stuff outside of work as I normally would, because I usually go and do stuff with my coworkers, and we just didn't do a ton. So I budgeted a whole lot, and I just didn't spend hardly any of it. So I budgeted in total $1,440, and I only spent $825. The other thing is, if we go over a little bit and we look at my sinking funds, I did actually spend quite a lot of money over there. I spent nearly, $300 more on top of that, but because I'd saved for it already, it came out of those sinking funds. So for example, I had my vacation fund, and I went to Atlantic City for a night and I stayed in a hotel and spent money there, and so I just put all of the money that I spent there into that vacation fund. It was like $150, and so I essentially like didn't really spend anything because it came out of the sinking fund that it was meant for. Also, I had a gift fund going this whole time for the like for Christmas presents and stuff, and so all of the Christmas presents that I bought this month came out of that fund. It worked out really, really well, and I really like just didn't spend near as much. So what I did, I decided that I wanted to carry some of that extra money forward because I made that money and I treat that as my spending money. I met all of my goals of what I wanted to save, and then I'm gonna carry over some of the other money. However, I do want to put a little bit extra because I have extra into some of these sinking funds. So you can see the difference between my budget and my actual. I just put a whole bunch more money in all of these. So instead of putting $600 into my emergency fund, I put $700. Instead of $500, or instead of $200 in my vacation fund, I put $500. For my flight fund, I put $200 instead of $150. For my car maintenance, I put $100 instead of $50, and then the gift fund I kept at $100. So even though I spent like $300 from those sinking funds, I wound up putting in nearly $400 extra. So in addition to that, I carried over a little bit of money as well into January, and the way that I showed this is in my income. I basically put it in as more income just because of the way that this spreadsheet works, is that I'm budgeting all of my income. I'm not budgeting like money that's already in my bank account. I'm just budgeting the income. So by putting that extra money into income, I essentially had $200 extra of income that I can spend. So we can look at this now and we can see I just put it all into additional shopping. I don't really have any particular thing that I want to use it for. I'm just literally just doing a little bit more reckless spending than I normally would, to be honest, and I'm just going to move that around to the different categories that I wind up spending in. Which is really nice because I don't tend to overspend like that. Like, I am definitely a saver. I don't like spending a lot of money. You wouldn't think so because you've seen my budgets every month, but I do tend to buy things that I really like ruminate before I buy stuff. I don't tend to make like impulse purchases all that often unless it's food. Food is my downfall. Also, you guys, I meant to mention, you can now purchase this template that I'm using here, and you can set this up by yourself and learn how to use this and get started on your own budgeting journey. I'm really excited about it. If you have any questions about how to use it or anything, like, feel free to reach out to me or comment below. I'm happy to help in any way, shape, or form. I just want us all to go on this little journey together. So make sure that you check this out. Okay, so now we can look at January. So like I said, pretty much the only difference when I normally would is that I had this carryover amount, and then in my expenses, I just used pretty much my normal budget. I don't think I went over with anything else particularly, except for that additional shopping category for anything else. I did add one extra category, which is healthcare, because I have never had to pay for healthcare before. It's always gone through my parents, which is lovely, but I actually had to go to the doctor and pay it myself. Like, I always thought also that like insurance just paid for everything, and apparently that is not true. So these are the kinds of things that you learn as you grow up. Also, on this budget tracker, it has a cool feature in the start where you are able to write down all of your financial goals. So basically the way that I track my financial goals is using sinking funds. And so for me, that is just the way that makes the most sense. So I lay out all of my sinking funds. I have it here. You can put in your goal amount, your date that you want this money by, and it'll calculate your recommended monthly contribution. And then you can also keep track of how much is in each one of your funds. And so I obviously have my normal funds. I have been using my emergency fund, vacation fund, flight fund, car fund, and gift fund. So I calculated those recommended monthly contributions, and for my budget, I went ahead and put in what those recommended monthly contributions were, and then I, as per usual, take money out of my income straight away and put it into my savings. And so I take all, like, that money is basically already gone from my bank account, so but I only put in the minimum of what I would expect because all of my goals are pretty flexible. I'm not really saving for anything super duper specific. I'd like to build my emergency fund up quite a lot. But I'm debating whether I want to like kind of back off because I do feel like I'm in quite a good position right now. But we'll see what happens. Those are the major differences with my January budget. I hope that this is interesting. Make sure to go check out this template if you are interested in budgeting with me. Like I said, $5 on Etsy, and I'd really appreciate the support. So. Okay, now it is time to do my January bullet journal spread, and I decided to change it up a little bit this month. So in the past, what I've been doing with my monthly spread is I'll put the entire monthly view all on like one half of the page, whereas this time I decided I wanted it to be a little bit bigger. It was just a little bit too small, what I was using before, so I extended it and made the Saturday and Sunday carry over to the next page. But like in the past, I've kept my casual magic tracker. I just wrote that into the extra space on the right side. My casual magic tracker is basically just a place for me to write down just that, something small that happened every single day that makes me just appreciate things a little bit more, and the things that are happening to me. So it could be anything from doing a crossword puzzle with a friend to maybe something a lot bigger like going on a trip. So it's really just a place for me to jot down those types of things. Also, I know I spoke recently in a video about how I wanted to keep my bullet journal much more minimal and I wasn't really decorating it as much. And I decided I wanted to actually add a little bit of color in this month, and I had some extra time. And I still hold that keeping your bullet journal simple can be really good, but I also think that if it makes you not feel inspired, then maybe you put a little bit more effort in. I think it's all about finding the balance of how much time you want to dedicate to making a spread pretty versus how much time you actually want to spend getting things done. Because in the end, this is supposed to be a tool for productivity, and some days that means that I will be decorating it a lot, and other days it means it's going to have no decor at all. It's all about finding the right balance for you. Okay, another little thing that I want to review, this is more for me than anything else, is just my content statistics. This helps to motivate me a little bit. It's cool to see growth whenever there is growth, and this month has been a good month of growth. So something I'm really proud of is my watch hours. I feel like that has gone up a lot. I got a lot of those this month, which is really something I'm going to be focusing on as well throughout the new year. And so getting a good head start on it is great. Also, my views were so many. I went up by like 11,000 views, which I think is probably more than I have in a very, very long time, if ever. And so I'm very happy with that. Also, I almost doubled the number of likes that I got on TikTok. So some exciting stuff going on, and it's really cool because I'm really excited. I really think that this community is going to keep growing, and I really appreciate everybody who watches my videos. Hearts. For the final segment of this video, I'm just going to do a little highlight reel for December and how that went. You guys know I like doing these. I like just looking back at the memories and talking through them. So December was a very fun month. I started out the month going back to Villanova, and we went to a basketball game, me and all of my friends. Villanova is a huge basketball school, if you didn't know. They're not doing too hot right now, and it was actually a very disappointing weekend in terms of our game that we lost. So yeah, that was sad. But it was really fun to hang out with my friends and see them and hang out with my boyfriend and everything. So that was great. I did vlog that if you're interested in seeing that. It was a great weekend. Then the next exciting thing, my boyfriend came to spend the day with me, like as he was driving back from college, and we did like a little mini Christmas day, which was so lovely. We like watched Christmas movies, we cooked like a Christmassy meal, we just hung out, we went and saw a bunch of Christmas lights. Next, I went on a trip to New York City one weekend with a bunch of my coworkers, which was really fun. We went around Bryant Park and just saw all of the Christmassy stuff in New York City and just spent the day there. It was so fun, and I loved like seeing all the Christmas decorations and everything. And then the following weekend, I went to Atlantic City with them, and it was just such a fun time. It was one of our friends' birthdays, and I wasn't really sure how it was gonna go, but it was great. We all bonded. I don't gamble at all, so I was just chilling, hanging out. There was a club in the hotel that we were staying at, so we got to go and check that out and dance around in there for a while, and yeah, it was just a really, really fun day. Then it was obviously Christmas, and Christmas is like speaks for itself. It's great. I went home. So I was in Texas, and we had our nice little family Christmas time. I'm very thankful for all of the gifts that I got. I was definitely spoiled a little bit. After Christmas, my family and I actually did a road trip up to Colorado, which is a very long road trip. We stopped in Amarillo, which is in like the panhandle of Texas. We got food at this place called the Big Texan, which my dad and brother rave about all the time because they go up there for their racing stuff. And then we went skiing once we actually got to Breckenridge, which is where we were. Which we haven't been to Breckenridge since I was in high school. Like, it's been like 6 years since I went skiing, and it was a really fun time. It was so much warmer than it has been in the past, and I had these electric gloves, and they were such a game changer. Like, I'm always so cold that it's just like miserable for me, and I actually had a pretty good time because I wasn't freezing to death. So that was great. It wasn't great that there wasn't a lot of snow, because that might be like global warming a little bit, but I had a really good time with my family there. Skiing and just being in Breckenridge. It's a beautiful place. So yeah, overall December was a lovely month. The holidays just, they don't disappoint. I'm very thankful to have had such a nice time. Okay everybody, that is all for this video today. If you enjoyed, then make sure to like and subscribe and keep an eye out for the rest of the videos in this series, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!